Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. How has your day been? I have no clue what day I'm on. There's been times today I thought it was Friday. There's been times I thought it was Tuesday. Today, and then there's times today when I was out walking Zeffie, got to get this walk before I went walking with Zeffie, to say I've got to get going now because we've got to be on for my mastermind at 5 o'clock. Well, 6 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock Pacific. And so I think the gas guys just turned up to fill up my tank, getting the propane filled up. Yep, they're outside. So I'm going to start smelling propane shortly. Definitely. And now you're probably going to hear the hum. If you hear any humming, it's them filling my tank. It takes them all of about a minute or two. Anyway, so I was out for the walk and we went on a really good fast-paced walk, and Zeffie was like good. We even stopped and helped somebody who had a small trailer on the back of her car and was having trouble backing it into where she needed to park it. So we stopped and helped her get the trailer in place. And then we carried on with our walk and it did this nice walk. It was just under a mile. It was like 0.97. Had I known it was only 0.97, we would have gone for a little longer to make it a mile. But didn't figure that out till we got back and we had our shoes off. And, well, I had my shoes off. Zeffie had her jacket off. But anyway, while I was out walking, I was thinking of, we're in the holiday season. Families are getting together. What's some fun things that we can do together as a family? And I was thinking, what were some of the things I love to do? Oh, yeah. When family got together, we always told stories. We had story time. We would tell stories about especially when our grandparents were alive, they would tell stories about growing up. They would tell stories about their parents, their siblings, their grandparents if they knew them. We had a great time hearing these stories about our ancestors. And not only that, but also hearing stories about what it was like when our grandparents were children growing up. What was it like when our parents were children growing up? We'd have our grandparents telling us stories that they remember about their children, our parent, our father or mother, along with their siblings and the stuff that they would get up to. And I thought, wouldn't that be a cool thing to do when you get together as a family? So when you get together as a family this season, think about telling the stories, about the stories with the ancestors, about the stories of growing up. What was it like to grow up? Did you move around a lot? Did you stay in one place? What were some of your favorite things when you were growing up? That questionnaire that I have with 100 questions. If you don't have a copy of that, in the description below is the link to click to go and get your copy of 100 interview questions. Why not print them out, cut them up into little strips, put them into a bowl, and everybody pick one out and get to answer the question. And you could have that and go around and do that as part of the story time. Another thing that we like to do was we would show home movies. And, of course, we were on the that was a text message telling me my gas had just been delivered. They only put in 9 gallons. Oh, interesting. Got 12 the other day. What was that? Oh, yeah. So we just watch home movies. Now, back in the day, we used to have the little 8mm films or different times of Italian film, but you couldn't record sound. So what was really fun, with watching the home movies was making up a script to go with what we were watching. Who said what, when, and how. You'd see people talking. And so what were they saying? And just making a fun evening of it, of watching the home movies and creating our own story. As far as dialogue went, if you could see people talking, what were they saying? You'd see people doing, look at me, I can hula hoop, and watch me go fast on my bike. Look, I'm really fast. Things like that. Just make up stories about what you're watching on the movie. And another one was with slides. Now, those that don't know what slides are, they were little plastic white things that would have a piece of a negative, which was a piece of film, in between 2 bits of cardboard, and they were called slides. And you could do slideshows. So when you got some pictures taken, like for doing a vacation or whatever, you could actually have them turn into slides rather than photographs. And photographs used to be created from film that would go in the back of a camera. I'm trying to figure out how to put it. That's as simple terms like it. And it'll get developed and you could put slides, which was basically the slides were negatives in between two pieces of cardboard, and you'd have a projector that you would put this little shuffle thing on, and it would drop one down, or you'd show it on the screen, you'd talk about it, then you'd pop it, and then you'd hit the button or whatever, and it would pop back up, and the next slide would drop down. Or the one that we had is it just had 2 slide slots, and so you'd put a slide in there, push it in front of the lens, and it could go either way. And while you were looking at that one, somebody was changing out the other slide, and so then you'd switch it the other way, and you'd look at that slide and take out that one and put the new one in. And my parents had boxes of these slides. I hope they still have them, because I can get them digitized now. You can get all of those. You can get the 8mm films, videos. When it moved to video cameras, you can get all of that beta, VHS, whatever it was, whatever size it was, you can now get converted to digital. And so you would have these slides and movies and things. And so you can make up stories about them. You know, who can have the most creative story about what they're watching? Whether it be a movie, whether it be slides, you know, who can come up with the most creative story? Also too, record these sessions. And the reason I'm saying record these sessions is because then you can go back and see some of the fun that you had. But then also too, go through, when you're going through slides or photographs, or especially the slides, because you can put them up on a big screen. Have those that were around at the time when the slide was taken tell the story of the slide. So you've got a picture there of the slide, and you've got somebody on your, when you're recording it, you got a picture of the slide up there, and you've got somebody talking about the slide and what's going on at that time. What was the story behind the slide? It could have been somebody's birthday. You know, what happened at the birthday? What was their favorite memory from that birthday? Help us use the slides as memory joggers to tell stories about, you know, the adults now sitting in the room when they were kids. It could have been grandparents. Stories about the grandparents and things, or what the grandparents remember, what the kids remember. So if it's, little Tommy's birthday, it's little Tommy's birthday party showing on the slide. What does Tommy remember about that birthday party? What was the story behind it that the parents can remember? So now you're getting 3 people's opinion, memories about that event. If Tommy was not the oldest, what did his older siblings remember about that party? So there's ways that you can incorporate this and get several people's recollection going on that thing, because all of a sudden somebody will say something, somebody, oh, you remember that was the one where they did blah 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 blah, and they'll go into some story, and they go, no, it wasn't that party, that was this one, and so you get this whole conversation going about what actually happened at Tommy's party. And it makes for a very fun, entertaining evening to gather around and just tell these stories. And the younger kids who are now learning about their parents or their aunts and uncles, what it was like when they were children, what the grandparents remember about these aunts and uncles growing up. There may even be slides in there from their grandparents' days. What do the grandparents remember about those slides? On that, there could be their wedding pictures in there, their honeymoon pictures in there. What were some of their fondest memories of their wedding day? Things like that. So you could come up with all sorts of situations where you could just sit and tell stories. It could be pulling out photo albums and sharing the stories behind the photo albums, especially if you've got people who have departed, who have passed on. What are your memories of grandparents, great-grandparents? What are your memories of these people? What do you remember as a child about that person? What do you remember as an adult about that person? What was your favorite memory of that person's past? So this way you're telling stories and passing them on to generations that are coming up behind you. You're telling these stories to your kids about their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and they get to learn about the stories through your memories. So this is a way that you can document, and you're always recording these sessions on the storytelling, so that you've got you've got those memories that you can preserve, and you can then go and transcribe the stories, and boom, you've got a family book. And you could and because you are being really vigilant about this, and when you're videotaping these, you're taking a picture of the picture, or a video of the picture that's being talked about, or the scene that's being talked about, and then you've got the dialogue to go with it. So when you go back, you can get a copy of that photograph, put it there. Here's the story about this photograph. Here's the arguments we had about whether it actually took place then or took place at another party. So you're transcribing all of this stuff, and boom, next Christmas, you have a book that you can print off and give to family members. It has the photograph and then it has the stories that were told. A very, very quick and it's a very simple way of capturing stories is when you've got everybody together, because everybody will jog everybody else's memories. I always love it when I'm with family and somebody will mention something and they go, oh, that reminds me. Do you remember when we did da 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 da? And then all of a sudden, boom, you've got this whole conversation. You've got like 5 or 6 conversations going on at once with everybody trying to tell their story. And it's just, it's a great feeling. I love those conversations. I absolutely love those conversations. So you can either, find a way to get the people talking, do photographs, do movies, do slides if you still have slides. If you don't have any of that available, then click the link below to get the 100 interview questions, cut them onto strips of paper, fold them up, put them in a bowl and have somebody pick it out. Then everybody's got to tell their story, answer that. Everybody's got to go around and answer that question. And then pull out the next one. Everybody's got to go around and answer that question. And so you can take turns who picks out the question, and they're the first person that has to go on that question, and then it just goes around the room. And you're videotaping all of this, so you're getting everybody's answer to one question at a time. And one question at a time, which will trigger off memories, will trigger off sidetracks into stories of ancestor, into stories of growing up, of remembering people who are no longer with us. So you're going to have some great information there that, again, go and transcribe it, turn it into a book, give the gift, and take stills out of the videos that you can put into the book. And like if you're going around, have one page have one chapter per person. So here's grandma, here's a picture of grandma, and here's grandma's answers to the question. Here's a picture of granddad, here's granddad's answer to the question. Here's a picture of mom, and here's her answers to the question. And and you've got one chapter per person with a photograph at the beginning on that night of that person, and then you've got all the questions, and everybody answers the same questions. So you now have here was the question. Here's grandma's answer. And here's grandma's answers to the questions. Here's granddad's answers to these questions. And that, again, becomes a gift for next year. And not only that, you're preserving those memories. It's getting the stories down. It's giving you an insight into life. And those books can get passed down to generations. There's plenty of places out there that will print them up for you and do them hardcover. They will do a nice job on the hardcover of them. You get to design it and all that sort of stuff. But you get to have a fun-filled night that turns into a learning memorial experience. And you've got a book now that can be passed down to generations from that family Christmas of 2020, where we played tell the stories, or family story time at Christmas or something like that. And maybe you could make it a tradition. Start a tradition this year of doing that. And every year you do different family stories, different ways to prompt memories to tell stories. This year it could be doing the 100 questions, not all of the 100 questions, but a few of them. You put them in a hat, you pick them. Everybody gets to pick one question. So if you've got 10 people there's 10 questions, and you have all 100 in there, and then everybody gets to pull one out. But you don't put in the ones that ask for their full name and their birth date, because you already have that information. And then you can move on to other questions that are on that list, like where did you go to school? How did you meet your spouse? Why did you fall in love with them? When did you get married? Where did you go for your honeymoon? Those sort of questions. So grab that questionnaire that's in the description down below there. And from there, go make a fun-filled night that's answering family history questions. And then next year it could be doing the slides or the videos, or the videos / movies / photographs. What memories can you talk about that? The following year it could be talking about your ancestors. What stories have been passed down through generations about those ancestors? Is there, and depending on whose house you're at and to what they have as far as photographs go, as far as newspaper articles, that sort of thing. I mean, you could even pull out, if you've got them, pull out the albums that will have like newspaper articles in there that maybe some ancestor appeared in. And talk about the story behind the story and things like that. So there's a great way that you can, those are great ways that you can have what we call family gathering story time. It's just taking those stories that everybody has and finding a fun way to have the stories told while you capture them on video, get them now you've got a year to transcribe them, put it together as a book so that you can give it out as a present next year for Christmas. And this is something that people will have as a memory year after year after year. And you're playing these different games every year that brings out different stories, different memories. And the years will change as to who's there and who's not there. And as people pass, new people come into the family, that sort of thing, stories are going to change. And spouses of the people in the family, they get to participate as well, because you want to get to know these spouses. Who are they? What was their childhood like? Because they're probably going to be, they're going to be in the book, and they're helping create a new generation. So why not have their stories in there too for their generation as they come along? So don't forget, it's not just for the family. It is for the family, the extended family, whoever is there in the room. Even if you have family friends that you can, those family friends that you consider members of the family, have their stories in there too. What a great gift for them. And especially if it's somebody who's been in your family for a very, very long time. And, it's somebody who's been a best friend of somebody since they were in kindergarten or something, or somebody they met at the Mummy and Me classes, and the kids became great friends, and you've just stayed friends for the years, and they're like a member of the family. They're like a member of the family. Your family can be anything you want it to create. It can be biological. It can be you chose it. So biological, you had no choice. This is your family. But the non-biological families that you have, where it's just full of amazing friends that you consider family, there's those families that you've chosen. And it doesn't matter if the person is natural to the family, if they were adopted into the family, if they were fostered into the family. It doesn't matter. If that person is in your house on Christmas, they get to, for the family gathering, they get to participate as well, and they get a copy of the book too. So those are just some ideas, just a couple of quick ideas for what you can do at family gatherings. And it doesn't have to be at Christmas. It could be at Thanksgiving. It could be at great-great-grandma's 95th birthday party or her 100th. Oh my gosh, what a gift to give to somebody who is 100 years old. If you think of somebody who's celebrating their centenary birthday, the stories, find anybody and everybody that was part of this person's life and get them to tell their favorite story on video or audio, transcribe it, put it into a book so that great-great-great-great-grandma or grandpa has these stories, has these videos that can be played at the birthday celebration, where it's got messages from all these people and it could be family members, it could be best friends, that have had some part in this person's 100 years of life. And even throw in there some little history bits. And if you can get to interview the person who's turning 100, ask them questions about major historical events that they have lived through. They've lived through things. If you think about somebody who's turning 100, they have lived through stuff from when there was absolutely no computers. They had no computers. They've lived through a huge technology change, from having to handwrite letters to telephones to, starting to, having a brick that you could carry around as a cell phone to computers. Oh my gosh, computers. What is it? What's their life? How has their life changed over the years through technology? What was their life like living through the different wars that were out there? World War II being one of the big ones that your centenarians, would have lived through. What was the times like living through those big major worldwide events that occurred when they were, that have occurred during their lifetime. And you can also sort of like make it as a timeline as well. So you have that video that you can then show at their birthday celebration. You can have a book that you can give them, which is of that video, but written out. And now every member in the family can get a copy of that book too. So they always have the memory of that amazing person who turned 100. They could be a third, a fourth, a fifth great grandparent. We don't know. Who in your family is turning 100 next year, and start doing a project like that, so that when the family gets together, you're watching this video. But what's going to happen when this video plays is other people are going to start going, do you remember? Blah, 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 and it's going to start up other conversations. Oh my gosh, I just got chills. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm off to watch Jingle All the Way, which came out in 1996, I think it was. So I'm going to go watch that. and just have fun times with that. Watched It's a Wonderful Life last night. I love that movie. It just shows you how much impact. The thing I like about It's a Wonderful, I know I'm completely changing topics here. The thing I like about It's a Wonderful Life is it shows you that even though you don't know, you have an impact on so many lives. And you may never, ever know the true impact that your life will give to somebody. Or has on somebody, how somebody looks up to you, how somebody was able to do something because of something you did, how you inspired others. And that's what I think It's a Wonderful Life has, that great message of, because George gets to see his life if he never existed. He gets to see what his life's like, and he gets to suddenly realize that, oh, my life really is worth living. It's just got such an incredible message in that movie. And it's such a great movie. I just love that movie, which is why I like watching it every year at Christmas time. So tonight we're watching Jingle All the Way, just for a bit of slapstick, little comedy, and somebody trying a little too hard and screwing up and making mistakes and having to mend relationships and things like that. But it's all done with a good laugh and some comedy in it. So I'm out of here. Go have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Think about how you would encourage people to tell stories at your next family gathering. And like I said, whether it's a birthday celebration, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whatever time that the family is gathering for whatever celebration that they're gathering, a reunion, how can you encourage people to play the game of telling the family story? Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. Go have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Hei konara.